Imagine, for a moment, the vibrant hum of youthful excitement, the shared laughter echoing through a confined space, and the boundless anticipation of an open road stretching toward an iconic horizon. Most of us have felt that thrill, that potent mix of freedom and discovery, whether on a school trip, a family vacation, or a solo adventure. It's a universal experience, etched into the collective memory of what it means to be young and full of dreams. Now picture that same scene, but instead of reaching its destination, that entire world, the bus, the students, their hopes, simply vanishes. Not a trace, not a whisper, just an incomprehensible void where vibrant life once was. This isn't a fictional premise from a thriller novel. For nearly 3 decades, it was a chilling, unsolved reality that haunted the very fabric of American folklore, specifically along the legendary ribbon of asphalt known as Route 66. On a sun-drenched summer day in 1995, 20 American high school students, brimming with the kind of effervescent energy only youth can possess, embarked on what promised to be the adventure of a lifetime. Their tour bus, a symbol of freedom and collective memory-making, was charting a course down historic Route 66, an artery of American history and dreams. But somewhere in the vast, indifferent expanse of the American Southwest, that journey abruptly ended. The bus, along with every single soul aboard, disappeared without a trace. A frantic nationwide search was immediately launched, a desperate scramble across thousands of miles of desert, mountains, and forgotten towns. Yet all the combined efforts of law enforcement, search and rescue teams, and countless volunteers yielded nothing but dust and despair. The case quickly became a haunting enigma, a gaping wound in the national consciousness, leaving families shattered and an agonizing, unanswerable question echoing across the iconic highway. For 29 long years, the fate of the Route 6620 remained an open file in police archives, a cold case that gathered not just dust, but a thick layer of speculation and rumor. Whispers of a supernatural intervention, a sinister plot, or some unknown, terrifying force clung to the narrative, woven into the very fabric of the desert winds. The families, trapped in an unending limbo of grief and uncertainty, clung to fading hopes and the ghost of what might have been. The world moved on, but the mystery persisted, a silent testament to an unresolved horror that refused to be forgotten by those most affected. It was a story told in hushed tones, a cautionary tale about the vastness of the American wilderness and the secrets it could so easily swallow whole. Then, in the unforgiving heart of that very desert, far from any established road or logical path, an unthinkable discovery shattered the long-held silence. Nearly 3 decades after its disappearance, a rust-eaten, sand-blasted husk of a bus, eerily identical to the one that vanished in 1995, was found. Its windows were shattered, its paint faded to a ghost of its former vibrant blue, and its interior, upon first inspection, was empty. This wasn't a discovery that offered closure. Instead, it ripped open old wounds and tore down the fragile walls of acceptance that families had painstakingly built over decades. The finding didn't provide answers. It unearthed a terrifying new layer of questions, deepening the mystery rather than solving it. This revelation, almost 30 years in the making, doesn't just reignite a cold case. It compels us to re-examine everything we thought we knew about that fateful day. It forces us to confront the chilling possibility that the desert, a silent witness to so much human endeavor and natural wonder, had been guarding a far more sinister secret. What happened to those 20 young lives? How did their vehicle end up so far off the grid, in such an isolated and desolate location? And what, if anything, did the barren landscape conceal about the final moments aboard that ill-fated bus? This journey will not merely recount a disappearance, it will delve into the profound human desire for answers. the enduring power of a mystery, and the unsettling truth that some secrets are buried not just by time, but by forces far more complex and unsettling than simple human error. We are about to embark on an investigation into what truly happened on that fateful day and what silent horrors the desert has guarded for so long, inviting you to explore the depths of this captivating and deeply unsettling enigma. The very concept of the American road trip, particularly along historic byways, is deeply ingrained in our collective psyche. It represents not just a physical journey, but an odyssey of self-discovery, a testament to freedom and the boundless possibilities of an expansive landscape. This romantic ideal, however, often coexists with a more sobering reality. The vastness that beckons can also swallow. For generations, routes like the iconic Mother Road have served as arteries of aspiration, connecting disparate communities and shaping the national identity. Yet their immense length, traversing countless miles of sparsely populated territory, inherently introduced an element of the unknown, a silent acknowledgement that venturing into such expanses carried its own unique set of risks, hidden beneath the veneer of open road adventure. Beyond this geographical reality, the sheer scale and desolation of certain American regions pose unique challenges. The arid expanses of the Southwest, for instance, punctuated by formidable mountain ranges and canyons, are not merely picturesque backdrops. They are environments of extreme heat, sudden flash floods, and an almost alien silence that can disorient and isolate even the most prepared traveler. Consider for a moment the immense effort required to locate something as substantial as a large vehicle in terrain where geological features can mimic each other for hundreds of miles, and where a human footprint can vanish with the next gust of wind or shifting sand dune. This raw, untamed nature has historically been a silent accomplice to countless disappearances, both mundane and inexplicable, preserving secrets within its immutable embrace. Coupled with these environmental factors is the inherent vulnerability associated with group expeditions, particularly those involving young participants. While organized tours are predicated on a promise of safety and meticulous planning, the human element, from logistical oversights to unexpected mechanical failures, always introduces a degree of unpredictability. There's a collective trust placed in the hands of operators and drivers, an unspoken assumption that every contingency has been considered. Yet even in the most well-intentioned arrangements, the illusion of safety in numbers can be shattered when a group finds itself in a truly remote area, far from immediate assistance or reliable communication. The historical record is replete with examples of expeditions, large and small, encountering unforeseen obstacles that rapidly escalate into dire circumstances. Indeed, a crucial dimension in understanding the prolonged mystery of any such incident from a preceding era lies in the technological landscape of the time. Before the ubiquitous reach of satellite navigation, before every vehicle was a potential node on a digital network, before cellular towers dotted every mile marker, the ability to simply drop off the grid was far more tangible. A large vehicle, once off the main thoroughfare, could truly become a phantom, its last known position fading rapidly into conjecture without constant, active communication. This stark contrast with our hyper-connected present fundamentally shaped the initial response and subsequent investigative trajectory of perplexing cases, allowing for a window of opportunity for the unknown to take hold, where today such a prolonged silence would be almost impossible. Furthermore, the cultural context of unexplained disappearances in vast, untamed territories has always fascinated and unsettled humanity. From ancient myths of lost civilizations swallowed by the earth to modern legends of vanishing aircraft in remote jungles, there's a primal fear of the unknown that such events tap into. These stories often become deeply ingrained in local folklore, shaping perceptions of specific places and fostering a sense of lingering mystery. They serve as potent reminders of humanity's relative insignificance against the backdrop of an indifferent natural world, challenging our assumptions about control and predictability. Such narratives underscore a fundamental human struggle, the desperate need for closure in the face of an absence that defies logical explanation, transforming a specific incident into a broader cultural touchstone. The stark reality of the discovery site painted a picture far more complex than initial reports suggested. The bus wasn't merely found in the desert. It lay nestled within a remote, unnamed canyon system, a labyrinthine network of sun-baked rock and shifting sand dunes, miles from any recognizable road or even a faint animal track. This particular area, known locally for its disorienting geological formations and extreme thermal shifts, had long been considered impassable for anything larger than a specialized off-road vehicle. Its concealment for nearly 3 decades speaks volumes about the sheer inaccessibility and the silent geological forces that had conspired to keep it hidden. The discovery itself was serendipitous, stumbled upon by a geological survey team utilizing advanced aerial LiDAR mapping, technology that could penetrate the dense foliage and subtle topographical shifts that had previously obscured the vehicle from conventional satellite imagery. Upon approach, the bus presented a skeletal silhouette against the vast horizon, a monument to a forgotten journey, its once vibrant blue paint reduced to a ghostly patina by years of relentless wind and sand. Confronting a crime scene nearly 30 years old, especially one exposed to the relentless elements of the desert, presents an unprecedented challenge for modern forensics. Consider the sheer degradation. Any biological evidence, from DNA to fingerprints, would have been subjected to extreme temperatures, UV radiation, and abrasive sand, severely compromising its integrity. The arid environment, while preserving some materials by desiccating them, would have simultaneously accelerated the breakdown of organic compounds. Furthermore, the scene was not pristine. The bus had been subjected to years of natural processing by wind, rain, and potentially even scavengers, each element subtly altering or removing crucial clues. Investigators weren't just looking for evidence. They were sifting through layers of time and environmental erosion, attempting to discern human intervention from natural decay. The meticulous process of documentation alone, using techniques unimaginable in 1995, began with laser scanning and photogrammetry to create a precise 3D model of the scene before a single artifact was touched, recognizing that every grain of sand and every shard of glass could hold a silent story. The bus itself, despite its dilapidated state, emerged as the central, albeit enigmatic, witness. Its exterior bore the scars of its long ordeal. Several windows were not merely shattered, but appeared to have been blown out, with glass fragments scattered both inside and outside the vehicle, hinting at an explosive force or extreme pressure differential. The tires, or what remained of them, were completely deflated and fused to the rims, a testament to the immense heat and pressure they had endured. Intriguingly, there were no visible bullet holes or obvious signs of a violent crash that would explain its position so far off-road. The interior, initially reported as empty, revealed a more nuanced picture upon closer inspection. While no human remains were immediately evident, decades of fine desert dust had settled, forming an almost geological layer that concealed myriad smaller items. The seats, though torn and sun-baked, still held faint impressions and scattered personal effects. A single high school yearbook, a faded cassette tape, a broken pair of sunglasses offered poignant, if silent, echoes of their former occupants, each now a potential key to unlocking the past. The immediate investigative hypotheses, therefore, had to contend with these perplexing observations. How did a large passenger vehicle, ostensibly designed for paved roads, traverse such formidable terrain to reach its final resting place? Was it driven there deliberately, implying a conscious act by someone aboard, or was it somehow transported, perhaps by a more powerful vehicle, or even by an unforeseen natural event like a flash flood that could have reshaped the landscape over decades? The absence of human remains within the bus was a critical data point, immediately shifting the focus. From a contained tragedy to a broader, more distributed scenario, this absence compelled investigators to expand their search radius significantly, employing ground-penetrating radar and cadaver dogs trained for decades-old scents across an area spanning several square miles around the wreck. The initial findings, rather than offering a clear narrative, instead presented a series of interlocking puzzles, each piece adding to the complexity of the unfolding mystery. Building on this, the current investigation leverages an array of cutting-edge technologies that simply did not exist at the time of the disappearance. Imagine the capabilities of advanced DNA sequencing, now able to extract profiles from even microscopic degraded organic residues, a single hair follicle, a skin cell embedded in fabric, or even a faint blood spatter long since bleached by the sun. Furthermore, forensic entomology, the study of insects, could potentially offer insights into the timeline of events, even after decades, by analyzing insect traces found within the bus. Drone-mounted thermal imaging and multispectral analysis are being deployed to detect anomalies in the surrounding landscape that might indicate disturbed earth, hidden burial sites, or even faint traces of other vehicles that might have accompanied the bus. This fusion of traditional detective work with advanced scientific tools represents the modern investigator's best hope for piecing together a coherent narrative from the fragments of a long-lost past. Ultimately, the discovery of the bus, while a monumental breakthrough, merely transformed a blank page into a chapter filled with unsettling questions. The profound silence emanating from the long-abandoned vehicle, coupled with the vast, indifferent expanse of the desert, serves as a powerful reminder of how easily secrets can be swallowed by time and nature. Yet, this silence also carries a fragile promise. The possibility that, with enough ingenuity and perseverance, the desert might finally be compelled to yield its long-guarded truths. The emotional resonance of this reawakened mystery for the families, for the public, and for the investigators is palpable. It is a testament to humanity's enduring need for answers, for closure, and for understanding the inexplicable, even when those answers lie buried beneath decades of sand and forgotten time. The profound psychological chasm created by an indefinite disappearance extends far beyond the immediate circle of affected individuals, casting a long shadow over the very notion of closure. Unlike the clear parameters of a confirmed loss, the absence of certainty, of a body, a definitive explanation, or even a final resting place, leaves families suspended in a unique state of perpetual grief, a phenomenon aptly termed ambiguous loss. This isn't merely a delay in mourning, it's a fundamentally different form of suffering where hope and despair intertwine daily, preventing the natural progression of healing. Imagine the enduring internal struggle, the constant replaying of last moments, the desperate search for meaning in a void. Consequently, the sudden emergence of a long-lost trace, even without immediate answers, doesn't simply provide relief. It shatters a fragile, hard-won peace, reigniting a complex tapestry of emotions, from raw agony to a renewed, albeit terrifying, flicker of hope. Moreover, such an enduring enigma inherently erodes a foundational layer of societal trust. When a group of individuals vanishes without a trace during what should have been a routine journey, it challenges our collective sense of security in the everyday. It forces a re-evaluation of the perceived safety in common activities, like organized travel or exploration of vast, seemingly benign landscapes. Consider how this impacts the broader public. Parents might view group excursions with newfound apprehension. Tour operators might face intensified scrutiny, and even the casual traveler might develop a heightened awareness of the inherent vulnerabilities when venturing into remote territories. This shift in perception transforms familiar routes and destinations from symbols of freedom into potential stages for the inexplicable, fostering a subtle, pervasive unease that lingers for generations. Beyond the immediate human toll and the erosion of trust, an unresolved disappearance of this magnitude often metamorphoses into a powerful element of cultural narrative. In the absence of concrete facts, the human mind instinctively seeks to fill the void, giving rise to speculative theories, local legends, and even national folklore. These narratives, passed down through whispers and shared anxieties, become ingrained in the collective consciousness, shaping the identity of the regions involved and influencing popular culture. The missing group transcends their individual identities, becoming archetypes in a larger story about the unknown, about the vastness of the wilderness, and about the limits of human understanding. This transformation underscores a fundamental human need to impose meaning, even fantastical meaning, upon events that defy rational explanation. Furthermore, the re-emergence of evidence after nearly 3 decades presents a unique set of challenges and opportunities for institutional memory and investigative methodologies. It forces a re-examination of cold case protocols, highlighting the critical importance of preserving records and maintaining a long-term commitment to justice, even when leads run dry. The initial investigative efforts, constrained by the technological capabilities of their era, are now re-evaluated through the lens of modern advancements, prompting questions about what might have been missed and how future large-scale searches in remote, unforgiving environments can be optimized. This incident serves as a stark reminder that time, while often an adversary, can also become an unexpected ally, allowing new tools and perspectives to unearth truths previously deemed unattainable. Ultimately, the revelation of the long-lost vehicle, even if devoid of immediate answers, fundamentally alters our philosophical relationship with vast, untamed spaces. These landscapes, often celebrated for their beauty and solitude, are subtly recontextualized as silent, indifferent witnesses capable of holding profound secrets for immense stretches of time. They become symbols not just of freedom and natural wonder, but also of human vulnerability and the humbling limits of our dominion over the natural world. This shift encourages a deeper reflection on our place within these formidable environments, reminding us that even in our most technologically advanced age, there remain corners of the world that can swallow our endeavors whole, guarding their mysteries with an almost primal tenacity. In the stark absence of immediate answers, an information vacuum invariably becomes fertile ground for speculation, giving rise to an intricate web of theories that often stray far from conventional explanations. For decades, the vanishing of the Route 66 bus was not merely an unsolved case. It was a canvas onto which the public projected its deepest fears and wildest imaginings. One pervasive myth, echoing familiar narratives from other unexplained disappearances, posits a covert government operation. The vast, often restricted military lands bordering the American Southwest fueled whispers of the bus having inadvertently stumbled upon a classified testing site or a hidden facility. Proponents of this theory suggest the vehicle and its occupants were then systematically removed to preserve secrecy, a narrative that explains the lack of initial discovery and the bus's remote, off-grid location. The very notion of the state concealing such an event, however unproven, resonates deeply with a segment of the public distrustful of official accounts. Building on this, another distinct current of thought veered into the realm of the paranormal and extraterrestrial. The American Southwest, with its sprawling deserts and clear night skies, has long been a hotspot for UFO sightings and unexplained phenomena. Consequently, the bus's vanishing act became interwoven with tales of alien abduction or encounters with unknown energies, a Bermuda Triangle effect transposed onto the arid landscape. The discovery of the bus in such an inaccessible, seemingly impossible location, far from any logical path, only served to strengthen these beliefs for some. They argue that conventional explanations simply cannot account for a large vehicle being moved so far off-road without any discernible trace of human intervention or a conventional crash. However, the re-emergence of physical evidence, even degraded, presents a formidable challenge to these deeply entrenched narratives. While the bus itself offers a tangible piece of the puzzle, its silent, empty interior leaves ample room for interpretation, thus prolonging the struggle to definitively debunk or confirm any theory. Investigators now face the daunting task of not just solving a cold case, but of systematically dismantling decades of speculative lore. This requires an almost forensic approach to myth-busting, meticulously presenting evidence that either supports or refutes each prominent theory, often against a backdrop of public skepticism and a collective yearning for a more dramatic, less mundane explanation. Furthermore, the original investigation itself, constrained by the technological limitations of 1995, has become a subject of intense scrutiny and, at times, controversy. Critics question whether the initial search parameters were sufficiently broad, given the vastness of the terrain, or if certain leads, perhaps dismissed as improbable at the time, should have been pursued with greater vigor. The very notion that a large bus could remain hidden for so long suggests potential oversights in the initial sweep, prompting a critical re-evaluation of the methodologies employed 3 decades ago. This retrospective analysis, while vital for learning, invariably opens old wounds and can lead to public accusations of negligence or incompetence, regardless of the challenging circumstances faced by the original teams. Beyond these investigative and speculative controversies, the ethical dimensions surrounding the public recounting of such a tragedy are profoundly complex. When a case involving missing minors re-enters the public consciousness, the media's role becomes a delicate balancing act. How does one disseminate new information responsibly, ensuring accuracy and sensitivity to the surviving families, while simultaneously satisfying the public's intense curiosity? The potential for sensationalism, for transforming a human tragedy into a macabre spectacle, is ever present. Navigating this landscape demands a commitment to factual reporting, a respect for the privacy of those affected, and a conscious effort to avoid amplifying unverified claims, even as the narrative pulls at the deepest threads of human emotion and fascination with the unknown. As we stand at this precipice of renewed inquiry, with the silent, rusted hulk of a bus now unearthed from its decades-long slumber, the true essence of this saga begins to crystallize. The discovery, rather than providing a neat resolution, has instead unveiled a deeper layer of profound questions, shifting the landscape of the mystery from an ethereal absence to a tangible, yet still incomprehensible, presence. This tangible artifact forces us to confront the enduring power of an unresolved narrative, reminding us that some stories refuse to be forgotten, no matter how much time attempts to bury them under layers of sand and silence. The sheer persistence of this enigma, now given a physical anchor, compels us to reflect not just on the fate of those 20 young souls, but on our own innate human drive to piece together fractured realities. Indeed, the reawakening of this cold case underscores a fundamental aspect of human nature, our relentless pursuit of truth, even when faced with overwhelming odds and the vastness of the unknown. This isn't merely about solving a crime or unraveling a historical puzzle. It speaks to a deeper psychological imperative to bring order to chaos, to find meaning in inexplicable loss. Consider how this applies when you encounter personal uncertainties or collective historical blanks. There's an inherent discomfort in ambiguity, a deep-seated need for answers that fuels research, inspires exploration, and ultimately defines our intellectual evolution. The saga of the Route 6620, therefore, transcends the specific details of a bus and its passengers. It becomes a powerful metaphor for humanity's persistent quest for understanding in a world that often presents more questions than answers. Furthermore, this ongoing narrative serves as a potent invitation to embrace the journey of discovery itself, recognizing that the pursuit of knowledge often yields more profound insights than the destination alone. The decades that have passed since 1995 have seen an exponential leap in scientific and investigative capabilities. Technologies that were once the stuff of science fiction now routinely inform forensic analysis. This evolution of human ingenuity, spurred by curiosity and necessity, offers a glimmer of hope that what was once impossible to discern might now be within reach. It's a testament to the unwavering human capacity for adaptation and innovation, reminding us that even the most formidable obstacles can eventually yield to persistent inquiry and evolving methodologies. The true legacy of this enigmatic episode, regardless of its ultimate resolution, lies in its capacity to spark wonder and ignite a deeper sense of curiosity within us all. It reminds us that the world, even in its most familiar corners, still harbors secrets, and that the boundaries of our knowledge are constantly shifting. What lessons do we draw from a bus swallowed whole by the desert, only to reappear decades later? Perhaps it's a humbling reminder of nature's formidable power, or a testament to the enduring resilience of memory and the human spirit. It challenges us to look beyond the immediate, to question assumptions, and to remain open to possibilities that lie just beyond the horizon of conventional thought. Ultimately, the story of the Route 6620, now anchored by its physical rediscovery, becomes a vivid illustration of how unresolved mysteries can shape our perceptions of history, geography, and even ourselves. It is a narrative that has woven itself into the fabric of American legend, a cautionary tale and a beacon of enduring hope intertwined. The desert, in its silent grandeur, continues to hold its secrets, but the re-emergence of this one crucial piece of the puzzle reignites our collective determination to listen more closely to the whispers of the past. It's a powerful call to maintain our intellectual vigor, to never cease asking why, and to recognize that every unanswered question is simply an invitation to embark on another journey of discovery, forever pushing the boundaries of what we know and what we dare to imagine. The emergence of the bus from its long desert interment irrevocably alters the narrative from one of pure absence to a complex, unsettling presence. No longer a phantom conjured by rumor and fading memory, it stands as a rusted testament, a tangible fragment of a story previously defined by its very lack of substance. This transformation from an ethereal void to a physical relic compels a profound re-evaluation of everything that came before. For those who carried the weight of this uncertainty, the discovery doesn't offer a simple end. Rather, it marks a new beginning, a shift in the nature of their grief and their quest for understanding. It transitions the experience from an endless, formless ache to a more defined, albeit still agonizing focal point, reshaping the very contours of their enduring sorrow. Indeed, the conventional notion of closure itself undergoes a significant redefinition in the wake of such a prolonged mystery. We often imagine closure as a definitive answer, a neat package that ties up loose ends and allows for a clean, emotional slate. Yet this unearthed artifact demonstrates that resolution is rarely so straightforward. Instead, it often manifests as a multi-layered process, where one answer merely begets a cascade of new, equally perplexing questions. The bus, silent and empty, forces us to confront the possibility that true closure might not be about finding a singular, all-encompassing truth, but rather about learning to live with the nuanced, often incomplete, fragments of reality that emerge over time. It's an ongoing negotiation with the unknown, where peace is found not in finality, but in the courage to continue seeking, even when the path remains obscured. Furthermore, the desert, initially perceived as a silent accomplice in a vanishing act, now reveals itself as a reluctant, patient archivist. For decades, its vast, indifferent expanse guarded the secret, its shifting sands and relentless sun meticulously eroding and preserving in equal measure. This profound passage of time, once the greatest obstacle to discovery, paradoxically became its eventual facilitator, allowing geological and technological shifts to align in a way that finally exposed what had been so carefully hidden. It highlights a humbling truth. The natural world operates on timescales far grander than our own, capable of holding secrets for generations before their opportune moment of revelation. This recontextualizes our relationship with such formidable landscapes, viewing them not just as backdrops for human drama, but as active, if unfeeling participants in the unfolding of history. Consider, too, the enduring human drive for coherence in the face of such profound disarray. Why does a story like this resonate so deeply, even with those far removed from the immediate tragedy? It speaks to a universal aversion to unresolved narratives, a deep-seated need to impose order on the seemingly random and inexplicable. The bus's re-emergence taps into this primal human impulse, reigniting a collective intellectual curiosity that transcends mere morbid fascination. It's about our species' persistent quest for meaning, our inherent belief that every event, no matter how chaotic, must ultimately possess an underlying logic, a discoverable truth that, once unveiled, can help us better understand the fabric of our existence. Ultimately, the saga of the Route 6620, now anchored by its physical rediscovery, becomes a powerful illustration of how unresolved mysteries can shape our understanding of time, memory, and the very limits of human knowledge. It challenges us to reconsider the nature of evidence, the resilience of hope, and the ever-evolving tools we employ to chase down the elusive past. This ongoing narrative, far from concluding, now invites us to a deeper, more nuanced investigation, not just into what happened on that fateful day, but into what it means to live with the echoes of the unknown, and how our persistent curiosity continues to illuminate even the darkest corners of human experience. The re-emergence of the bus from its decades-long concealment forces a critical re-evaluation of how we conceive and execute large-scale search and rescue operations, particularly in environments as vast and unforgiving as the American Southwest. This incident profoundly illustrates the limitations of traditional, reactive search methodologies, which often rely on immediate ground-based grids and visible indicators. Consequently, it propels a necessary shift towards integrating more sophisticated, proactive remote sensing technologies and predictive modeling into disaster preparedness protocols. Consider, for instance, how future missing person cases in similar terrains might now incorporate long-term aerial surveillance, advanced satellite imagery analysis, or even AI-driven pattern recognition to identify anomalies over expansive remote areas, essentially transforming the search from a frantic sprint into a patient, technologically augmented marathon. This paradigm shift acknowledges that some mysteries, like a cosmic detective searching for a long-lost meteor, may require not just immediate diligence, but also a sustained, evolving technological gaze across vast stretches of time and space. Moreover, this discovery profoundly challenges the modern conceit of a fully tamed or comprehensively mapped landscape, even within a developed nation. Despite extensive infrastructure and ubiquitous digital mapping, the prolonged concealment of such a substantial object reveals that significant swathes of our world remain profoundly wild, possessing an inherent capacity to swallow and hold secrets for generations. It shatters the illusion of universal oversight, reminding us that proximity to civilization does not equate to complete knowledge or control over natural forces. The desert, in this context, stands not merely as a backdrop, but as a vast, indifferent archivist, holding volumes of unread history within its geological folds, defying our technological advancements and humbling our assumptions about environmental mastery. This realization compels a re-examination of how we define and interact with the edges of our known world, acknowledging that even well-traveled regions can harbor deep, hidden wilderness. Furthermore, the prolonged societal impact of delayed justice and unanswered questions, stretching across nearly 3 decades, extends far beyond individual grief. Such an enduring enigma can subtly breed a deeper, collective cynicism about the efficacy of justice systems and the limits of governmental or emergency services capabilities. When a high-profile disappearance remains unsolved for so long, and then is partially revealed by serendipity rather than systematic investigation, it can erode public confidence in the safety nets designed to protect citizens. This isn't just about the failure to find, it's about the failure to explain, which can foster a pervasive sense of vulnerability, prompting citizens to question the inherent safeguards of organized society when confronted by the truly unknown or the overwhelmingly vast. Another crucial layer of implication arises in the evolving dynamic between technology and the very concept of historical truth. The ability of modern forensics and remote sensing to unearth a hidden past, to bring a decades-old cold case into sharp, undeniable focus, fundamentally alters our understanding of what constitutes a closed historical event. This isn't merely about using new tools, it's about the philosophical power of technology to rewrite historical consensus, to resurrect dormant narratives that were once relegated to folklore or forgotten files. Digital archaeology, in this sense, becomes a time-traveling lens, capable of bringing distant pasts into sharp, undeniable focus, thereby challenging our acceptance of past investigative limitations and pushing the boundaries of what we deem knowable about historical incidents. Consequently, the sheer scale of this mystery and its dramatic re-emergence are poised to significantly influence public policy and resource allocation. High-profile, long-term enigmas often serve as catalysts for legislative action, potentially driving increased funding for advanced remote sensing technologies, bolstering cold case units, or even prompting infrastructure development in isolated areas previously deemed too remote for significant investment. The ripple effect on budgetary decisions and strategic planning for future emergencies, particularly those involving large groups in challenging environments, could be substantial. This incident serves as a stark, tangible reminder that investing in cutting-edge investigative capabilities and maintaining a long-term commitment to unresolved cases is not just a moral imperative, but a practical necessity for societal resilience. Finally, the cultural reverberations extend far beyond simple folklore, transforming this event into a modern parable for human vulnerability and the limits of control. The story of the Route 6620 becomes a touchstone for broader discussions about risk, the allure of adventure, and the inherent uncertainties of life. Now consider how this resonates when you contemplate your own sense of security in familiar settings, or when you weigh the thrill of exploration against its inherent dangers. It subtly alters our collective perception of safety, weaving a thread of caution into the fabric of everyday experiences, reminding us that even in our hyper-connected world, there remain profound, silent forces capable of swallowing lives and guarding their secrets with an almost primal tenacity. Reflecting on this extraordinary journey through a narrative spanning decades, we find ourselves at a pivotal juncture where the profound silence of a long-held secret has finally been irrevocably broken. The emergence of a long-lost vehicle, once an ethereal absence haunting the periphery of memory, has fundamentally reshaped the very contours of an enduring enigma. It's as if a deep, subterranean current, churning beneath the surface of collective consciousness for generations, has at last found an unexpected vent, bringing forth not only tangible fragments of the past, but also a cascade of intricate questions that demand a deeper scrutiny of our understanding. This shift from an abstract void to a concrete, albeit enigmatic presence, compels us to synthesize the myriad implications that have unfolded, recognizing how each layer of insight contributes to a more complex, interwoven tapestry of truth. The interplay between the vast, indifferent forces of nature and the relentless, evolving ingenuity of human endeavor stands out as a central theme in this unfolding drama. For so long, the formidable expanse of the untamed landscape acted as a silent, formidable guardian, its geological features and climatic extremes serving as an almost impenetrable veil. Yet, the persistent march of technological advancement, coupled with an unwavering human drive to peer beyond the obvious, ultimately pierced that veil. This convergence of time, environment, and innovation underscores a humbling truth. Even the most carefully guarded secrets of our world are not immune to the eventual persistent gaze of curiosity, demonstrating how new tools can literally unearth forgotten histories and challenge our perceptions of what is truly lost to the ages. Drawing these disparate threads together, we discern the profound psychological and societal ripples that emanate from such an protracted vanishing. The unique burden of ambiguous loss, the erosion of collective trust in the face of the inexplicable, and the powerful human impulse to construct narratives in the absence of definitive answers have all left indelible marks. This saga transcends the immediate tragedy, transforming into a broader cultural touchstone that reflects our collective anxieties about vulnerability, the limits of control, and the enduring human need for closure. The reignition of this inquiry, therefore, is not merely about solving a cold case. It is about addressing a deeper societal yearning for understanding, for peace, and for the restoration of a fragile sense of order in a world often defined by its unpredictable edges. In light of these unfolding insights, the path forward becomes clearer, albeit no less challenging. We are presented with a potent reminder of how readily an information vacuum can be filled by speculation, and how firmly entrenched myths can become in the absence of verifiable facts. The painstaking process now underway involves not just forensic analysis, but a delicate intellectual archaeology aimed at sifting through decades of conjecture to unearth the empirical core. This requires a nuanced approach to truth-seeking, one that acknowledges the human element in both the initial investigation and the subsequent public discourse, recognizing that the journey towards clarity is often fraught with both scientific hurdles and the deeply ingrained biases of perception. As we pivot towards the final reflection, the weight of this rediscovered artifact prompts us to consider the enduring questions it leaves in its wake. This is more than a mere investigation. It is a profound meditation on the resilience of memory, the relentless pursuit of justice across generations, and the humbling reality that our comprehension of the world is constantly evolving. The long-lost vehicle, now a silent sentinel in the desert, compels us to look inward, to ponder what this protracted mystery reveals not just about the incident itself, but about the very essence of human curiosity and our unwavering commitment to peeling back the layers of the unknown, even when the answers may prove to be far more unsettling than the silence they replaced. The emergence of the bus from its decades-long concealment in the unforgiving heart of the desert irrevocably alters the narrative from one of pure, agonizing absence to a complex, unsettling presence. No longer a phantom conjured by rumor and fading memory, it stands as a rusted testament, a tangible fragment of a story previously defined by its very lack of substance. This transformation from an ethereal void to a concrete, albeit enigmatic relic, compels a profound re-evaluation of everything that came before. For those who carried the weight of this uncertainty, the families, the investigators, the public, the discovery doesn't offer a simple end. Rather, it marks a new beginning, a shift in the nature of their grief and their quest for understanding. It transitions the experience from an endless, formless ache to a more defined, albeit still agonizing focal point, reshaping the very contours of their enduring sorrow. Indeed, the conventional notion of closure itself undergoes a significant redefinition in the wake of such a prolonged mystery. We often imagine closure as a definitive answer, a neat package that ties up loose ends and allows for a clean, emotional slate. Yet this unearthed artifact demonstrates that resolution is rarely so straightforward. Instead, it often manifests as a multi-layered process, where one answer merely begets a cascade of new, equally perplexing questions. The bus, silent and empty, forces us to confront the possibility that true closure might not be about finding a singular, all-encompassing truth, but rather about learning to live with the nuanced, often incomplete, fragments of reality that emerge over time. It's an ongoing negotiation with the unknown, where peace is found not in finality, but in the courage to continue seeking, even when the path remains obscured and the answers are shadowed by the passage of years. Furthermore, the desert, initially perceived as a silent accomplice in a vanishing act, now reveals itself as a reluctant, patient archivist. For decades, its vast, indifferent expanse guarded the secret, its shifting sands and relentless sun meticulously eroding and preserving in equal measure. This profound passage of time, once the greatest obstacle to discovery, paradoxically became its eventual facilitator, allowing geological and technological shifts to align in a way that finally exposed what had been so carefully hidden. It highlights a humbling truth. The natural world operates on timescales far grander than our own, capable of holding secrets for generations before their opportune moment of revelation. This recontextualizes our relationship with such formidable landscapes, viewing them not just as backdrops for human drama, but as active, if unfeeling, participants in the unfolding of history, subtly dictating the pace at which truths are revealed. Drawing these disparate threads together, we discern the profound psychological and societal ripples that emanate from such a protracted vanishing. The unique burden of ambiguous loss, the erosion of collective trust in the face of the inexplicable, and the powerful human impulse to construct narratives in the absence of definitive answers have all left indelible marks. This saga transcends the immediate tragedy, transforming into a broader cultural touchstone that reflects our collective anxieties about vulnerability, the limits of control, and the enduring human need for coherence. The reignition of this inquiry, therefore, is not merely about solving a cold case. It is about addressing a deeper societal yearning for understanding, for peace, and for the restoration of a fragile sense of order in a world often defined by its unpredictable edges. Ultimately, the story of the Route 6620, now anchored by its physical rediscovery, becomes a powerful illustration of how unresolved mysteries can shape our understanding of time, memory, and the very limits of human knowledge. It challenges us to reconsider the nature of evidence, the resilience of hope, and the ever-evolving tools we employ to chase down the elusive past. This ongoing narrative, far from concluding, now invites us to a deeper, more nuanced investigation, not just into what happened on that fateful day, but into what it means to live with the echoes of the unknown, and how our persistent curiosity continues to illuminate even the darkest corners of human experience. The true quest, perhaps, is not just for the final answer, but for the profound wisdom gleaned from the very act of seeking.